How funny it is that we can be in the presence of angels and we focus on what we can see rather than the fact that we're in the presence of angels. So what are we supposed to get out of these two verses? Three things. First of all, verse 12 tells us, don't ignore the intimate connection. Don't ignore the intimate connection. God says this, and that's what these Jews were doing to this man. They were ignoring the intimate connection in reference to their legalistic approach to this guy's carrying his mat. They ignored connecting with this man. God says this. He says, be still, what? And know that I'm God. Now, is there any doubt God is God? So why would he say that? Why would he say that? Because the only way you and I are going to see him is if we be still. He's saying, you be still, then you'll see me. It's really what he's saying. The Bible says, be still and know that I am God. So what they needed to do was observe the man to see what was going on. Instead, they criticized the man and ignored the ministry. That's what happens too often. We need to be still and see what's going on. Not talk, not work, not do this, not do it. Just be still and watch for where God shows up. Because he's there. He's always in the presence. That's what he tells us. You and I just need to be still to know it. That's really what he's telling us. So don't ignore the intimate connection that we can have by just being still. Verse 13 says this. You and I are always in the presence of God. Always in the presence of God. We can't get away from that. His name, Yahweh, is I'm always there. I'm always there. He is the ever-present one. The always present one. I don't care where you go. He's there. We are forever in his presence. If you knew for a fact God was standing there right beside, if you could just see him for a few minutes, what would it cause you to do? It cause you to shut up and pay attention. That's what would happen. We'd start acting like we were in the presence of God. If we know we're in the presence of God, guess what? We ought to act like it. We ought to act like it. If we act like it, then guess what we're going to do? We're going to show it to others. They're going to see something's different. Why you act different? I'm in the presence of God. Who? Because we show it. And if we know it and show it, guess what? Others are going to see it. We're going to illustrate it to somebody else. That's what happened. This guy's laying still at the pool of Bethesda, 38 years. All of a sudden, he's in the presence of God. Doesn't know he is, but he's in the presence of God. He gets healed. He jumps up. A commotion comes about. I'm sure he told others that some guy told him to get up and walk. Who? I don't know. Some guy. But he started telling people what had happened. That's what 1 Corinthians 5, 3 and 4 say. Tell what you know. So what do we get from these two verses? A conclusion might go like this. How do we minister to others? That's where we started off. How do we minister to others? First of all, we don't ignore the intimate connection. That is where we make the connection. The second thing we do is we realize we're in the presence of God when we're around anybody, anything, all the time. If we just don't avoid the intimate connection and realize we're in the presence of God, then we can start to show it. And by illustrating or manifesting God to others, guess what? We're doing His will. All we got to do is be still and know. That's what Jesus did. He walked into this crowded room full of people. He said, Father, where am I to minister? And all of a sudden this man came into his view. God said, right over there. He walked over to the man and said, take up your bed and walk. Nodded to his disciples. They left. And that's what started this whole event. Now, how many people knew that? A crowded room and nobody else but the writer John wrote it. He's the one that saw it. He was the one being still to know that he was God. If it weren't for the witness of John, we wouldn't know this. It's not recorded in the others. One person saw it. One person was still. The question is, are we going to be that one person? That's what God wants. He wants the one person who really wants to do it. That's what we need to be, the one person who really wants to do what God wants us to do.